Hello, today I'll be sharing with you guys how I made this dress. So basically all you need is a crepe fabric, and in this tutorial I used 1 yard and 25 inches. You can use more depending on what you want to achieve, and you can use any color of your choice. And then secondly, you'll be needing this Ankara patchwork. I decided to add a bias tape in between just to give it a different look. And as well, we'll be using this fringe, and I'm using the white color because my fabric is black, and I'm using bias again. In the process of the video I'll explain better, but basically what I'll be doing with it is just to place it by the edge of the patchwork at the front side and then stitch on top. And yeah, basically that's it. So let's get into the video. So from my shoulder line I measured down to my bust point, and then I used the bust point of 10. I used 10, and then from 10 I went down to my waistline 16. We basically don't need a waistline measurement for this, but I just included it. I don't know why I did, but it's there. And so from there 16 I went down to 24 as my hip line, and then I went down to the full length of my gown, and then I cut it out. Basically here what we need is our hip measurement. Our hip divide by 4 plus your allowance. So I've been inserting my hip measurement, and then I used about 4.5 inches allowance, which is quite okay for me. You can add more, you can do less depending on how open you want it to be. So then I went straight to my neckline. I used 3.5 by 3.5 for the front. You can use what will sit well on your neck, but this 3.5 by 3.5 works perfectly well. And then for the back I use 3.5 by 1 inches, and then for the front I went down by 2.5 just to make this opening in the front. And on my shoulder line I went down by 1 inch for shoulder slope, and then I connected it back to my neck point. And then from there I did 8 inches for my armhole opening where my hand will pass through, and then from there I went in by 1 inch for folding and the rest, and then I connected it back to the dress. You can take it all the way down, but my allowance wasn't really plenty. And then my fabric is folded in 4, and then from my bust point I'm going up by 1 inch. You can go by 1 inch or 1.5. That's where your Ankara patchwork is supposed to start from, and basically stop at your waistline, or you extend it by 1 inch again. So yeah, basically I'll cut out my neckline for the back first. I slashed through the down part, and then the armhole I opened it. So now I'm pulling out the back neckline in order for me to cut out the front neckline, as you are seeing me doing right now. And then I opened the front neckline, and then gave it a little curve, like a V curve down to the point, not really open. So after cutting it, this is what the neckline looks like. Very beautiful and very fine. So yeah, for my neckline interfacing I introduced another crepe fabric, and then I placed the main one on top of it. And basically what I'll be doing is just to cut out the same shape of the main neckline. Basically that's just it. And then I went ahead to curve it just to give it a beautiful shape, and this is how it looks like. And so I'm going to go ahead to the sewing machine and stitch all the way round. I did the same thing to the back neck line, and then pinned it, and then I'm going to stitch it all the way around. So here I decided to just give my neckline, the front part, the interfacing, a different look. I didn't really like the round neck stuff, so I gave it this V shape and it was looking fine. So after stitching this point, I didn't stitch it all the way to the up. I have my reason. After joining the shoulder, I'm going to stitch the interfacing to the interfacing, and then the neckline to the neckline. So basically here I'll be joining my shoulder, and then after joining my shoulder then I'll join the interfacing together and then flip it over So we'll be moving over to the front parts for us to fix our patchwork. So from my shoulder I went down by 10 inches, and then from the 10 inches I just went up by 1 inch. It's okay for me depending on what you want. And then from that place I just marked the point where my patchwork is going to stop, and then I connected the point together just to get my midpoint. And then the patchwork I folded it in two just to get the midpoint, did the same thing on the lower part, and then I went ahead to place it on my crepe, just centered it together, and then I went ahead to pin it down just to make sure everything is in place and then not really moving. Okay, so then after doing that, I went ahead to stitch the bias tape I was explaining to you guys earlier. So basically this is what I'll just do, just stitch it by the sides. After doing that, this is what I have looking very nice and lovely. And then I'm going to go ahead to place my fringe, and then I'm doubling it. You can do three, double it three, but two is okay for me. Now you can basically just sew it on top and it will still come out very fine, but I decided to flip mine inside. I just, yeah, you see the space I left, so I'll be pushing the fringe inside and then I'll top stitch on the ankara, because I don't really want to do it at top. Flipping it inside gives it this better look for me. So I'm going to go ahead and top stitch on top of that ankara, yeah, just like I'm showing you guys. So after doing that, this is how it looks, and guys, it's looking very fine already, very fine already. Like, I just love the blue and the white and the black. So to the shoulder, so I'm going to join the shoulder together, and then just like I told you guys, join the interfacing separately. So I'm going to join it back again and then go ahead and press it down with a hemming gun. After doing that, guys, this is how the shoulder is looking, very clean and fine. Now to the sleeve, you just have to fold it in twice like this. That was the reason for that 1 inches. And then after doing that, you go ahead and shape your dress. But because I just want to do some little drama on my sleeve, so I introduced a different material. This is like 3 inches, and then I folded it in two, just like you're seeing me doing here. And then I joined it from the wrong side, and then I'll now flip it over to the right side and then top stitch on top. I don't know what the name is. If you know, please just let me know. And then just like I'm saying, then I'll now flip it over to the right side, and then I would now top stitch on top. I'm going to do the same thing to the other sleeve. So after doing that, this is what we have, looking very nice and lovely. So I'll go ahead and shape my dress. But before then, I decided to fix a pocket. So from my shoulder, I went by 16 inches, and then from there, I went down by 7 inches for my pocket opening. But for the pocket here, I did 8 inches for my sewing allowance, and then the length of it was 9 inches. So I cut out something like a square, not necessarily a square, and then I went and created this curve. So if you're not putting pocket, just shape it all the way down, but since I'm including mine, this is what I'll be doing. So the right side is facing the right side of the fabric, just like you see it pinned down here, and then we'll go ahead and stitch here from here to one end, and then do the same thing on the other side, and then repeat the same thing on the other side of the pocket. Then after doing that, we'll come ahead and stitch all the way around down to the length of the dress. And after doing that, guys, this is it. Everything is looking nice and lovely, is looking clean. And then the sleeve, my pocket opening, I decided to add slits to mine. I don't know for the reason why I did that, but after that, you can go ahead to do a clean finishing inside. If you have a weaving overlocker, whichever one, just go ahead and do it all the way around in the fabric, inside, just to have a clean finishing. After that, voila, our dress is set. Fine, guys, this is the outcome, looking nice and lovely. While I was making this dress, I thought of something, or I discovered something. I'll be trying it out and see how it is. If it turns out well, I'll be sharing with you guys here. So please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our channel. Thank you so very much for watching. Until next time, always stay awesome. Bye.